are you guys ready?
No.
Ready? Why? Okay, I'm gonna. This one's easy, so.
Oh, this is easy. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me
Thank you.
where a set of brackets go?
Oh,
Yeah.
before when and after what?
Yeah. Can somebody tell me what kind of clause this is?
When the crap testing?
Yeah. Why?
Because it can't stay alone.
Yeah. Second set of brackets? Anyone? Dr. Sam? Chase?
It to one.
Good job. What kind of clause is this? Anyone else? Why?
Input?
Yeah, why?
Because it can stand on its own.
Okay. What type of sentence is this? Ethan?
Wait, top right?
Yes. Can I get better at exercises? Maybe. What's the purpose? Okay. Good job. You guys did a good job. Okay. So what I need you to do next is get out your poetry project. Okay, and then I need you to be quiet.
Wait, first of all, there was 17.
The cat needs surgery. Alright. Can you guys be quiet?
She's gonna tell you what to do.
Okay. So yes. Very near one. Okay, so the first thing I need you to do is put your first and last name at the top. Don't fill this out. Miss Weston and I are gonna grade them, you're not gonna grade them yourselves, so you just can borrow this back. Thank you. Does everybody have their first and last name?
Not yet.
Wait, on this?
Yes. On the rubric. Okay. Shh. Okay. I'm gonna call you by chunks of desks, like rows of desks, to come up, and you're gonna staple the rubric to the front of your poetry project. Yeah. Just right there. You're gonna staple it to the front of all of your papers for your poetry project, and then you're gonna set it right here. Is that clear? Oh, just like that. No. Okay. This side of desk, you can come staple it and turn it. You can come up and staple it and turn it in. You're good. Sorry.
You're my way.
It's not
This bleach.
This is good.
question, you guys can come up and staple them. Don't worry about it, it's for me, for my class.
Thank
So,
you.
don't worry about it. It's like 3rd grade.
Oh.
Alright, and this side, you guys can help. You guys can pump and staple it. Pump and staple it. Where did you go with me? If you're gonna get it, yeah. Alright, so what I need you guys to do now is get out a piece of paper and a writing utensil. We have notes in Yeah, I was talking about it.
Hey, boys.
Can't shop clothes.
Hold on.
Just chill out.
Hold on.
It's okay.
There we go.
Okay, so on your Unit 5 test coming up, you're gonna have a couple different, you're gonna wanna write this down, by the way. This is why you have a piece of paper and a writing utensil. So, and don't worry, this will zoom in. It's not like it's gonna stay this small, don't worry. Okay, so on your Unit 5 test, it's gonna go over 3 different grammar-y things, and this is one of them. Okay, this is a fairly easy one. It's easier once we get to the examples, so bear with me, okay? Don't worry, it's gonna zoom in. Make sure you have the title, active and passive voice. We're gonna get there, okay?
I know, but I'm trying to be.
Okay, does everybody have this written down?
Yes.
Right. Active voice, okay? So, when you write an active voice, when you write, when you write an active voice, they call it an agent, but it's just the subject of the sentence, okay? The subject is going to be stated, you're gonna know what it is, and it's going to be at the beginning of the sentence, okay? We're gonna go over an example. Make sure you're writing this down. You don't have to write the whole thing. You can paraphrase it, shorten it. Yeah, you also write slow, so just try to not, because you'll get to do something fun later if we get through this. And then the thing that the agent is doing something to, or the direct objects, you know, we talked about those in DGP in the morning. It comes after the verb. I will show you an example. Give me a thumbs up when you have this written down. you're gonna do most of your writing in active voice because it tends to be more straightforward and clear than passive voice. But there are times when you should use passive voice, and we're gonna go over those later. Give me a thumbs up when you're done, and let's go on. Good job. Are you guys good?
No.
No. About another 10 seconds. And Shannon needs you to come. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do it. How much more do you have, Tim? Alright. This sentence right here is an example of a sentence written in active voice, okay? So, you know how I talked about the subject being first? Julio cooked the fried rice. So, Julio cooked is the verb, and fried rice is the direct object. Julio is doing the cooking. Yes, of the fried
So,
rice.
are we,
Yes.
well, are we gonna learn when the, is it true in some sentences, the subject doesn't always come first in the sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
Passive voice means it's not. Zach. Angela. Okay, that's the table. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna move on. Passive voice is when the thing that the agent is doing something to is placed as the subject of the sentence, okay? We're gonna go over an example, don't worry. And then the agent, so Julio is the agent in the last one, is placed after the subject. As a present. Yes,
So it's like the fried rice was cooked by Julio?
exactly. Did everybody hear what Akil said?
Yes.
Can you say it louder?
So it's like the fried rice was cooked by Julio.
Julio, yeah. Good job. Yeah, so the agent is after, is not the subject anymore, is at the end of the sentence, yes.
So the agent is the subject.
In the first place, yes. So in passive voice, the agent is not the subject anymore. Have a thumbs up when you're ready. It's okay. You're doing a good job. Feels that a question? Or is that? Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure. Are you guys good?
No.
Everybody good? Okay. So an example of a sentence, just as Akil said, was the fried rice was cooked by Julio. So the agent is at the end of the sentence this time, and the subject is now the fried rice, okay? Does this switching of things around make sense to you? So you're just moving it around. And you're making the importance on something else. Again, passive voice is more confusing than active voice, and we're gonna go over the cases when passive voice is better, so don't worry. Okay. Okay, go on. Okay, so, yes, Lena.
So the fried rice isn't doing any action?
Well, it was cooked. So the fried rice is now the subject, not Julio. Because Julio was doing the cooking, and now the fried rice is being cooked. Do you see the difference? If you don't, it's okay. I can explain it to you.
Lemma, you're right.
Yeah. So sometimes there's, with passive voice, the agent, so Julio in this last case, is hidden and it's not even mentioned. A lot of times this happens. A lot of times this happens because the agent isn't important. It isn't important who did it. It's just important that it happened. I will show you an example of this. An example of them leaving out the agent is the fried rice was cooked. Right? We know it was cooked, but it doesn't really matter who it was cooked by.
So like an active, like not have the person
Yeah, because it comes first. Correct. Not all the time. You'll be, you can if you want. Sometimes you don't need it. Like, you don't really need to know who cooked the fried rice. You just need to know when it's cooked, right? Does everybody see how there's Julio isn't mentioned, but he doesn't need to be mentioned in this, right? May I go on? So there, like I said, most of the time, almost all of the time really, you're going to use active voice because it tends to be clear. But there are 3 times when you should use passive voice, and we're going to go over them. The first type of moment when you should use passive voice is when the receiver of the action is more important than the agent, okay? So, in this example, if this sentence was an active voice, it would read, the Nobel Foundation awarded President Obama the Nobel Peace Prize. Pretty wordy, right? So, in this sentence, it's not really important who gave President Obama the Nobel Peace Prize. It's more important that we know that President Obama was the one who got the Nobel Peace Prize, right? So in passive voice, it would be President Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. And this is an instant where they left out the agent. The agent would be the Nobel Foundation. You can safely assume that if he was given the Nobel Peace Prize, that it was by the Nobel Foundation because they're the ones who give that.
Did Obama really get the prize?
Yes.
Is Noble the man who invented like the gunpowder?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
We can
that's
look
why
up
he
more
made a
information
peace
about this
prize
later.
because
It is. I did
he
not know
so
that.
sad that he made this.
Alfred Nobel.
Oh, that's very. I did not know that. So it's very interesting. So does everybody see why it's more useful in this situation to use passive voice?
No.
Okay. So in this one brief, do you want to read it out loud? Hear it?
The Nobel Foundation awarded President Obama.
Okay. That's kind of lengthy, right? It's a mouthful. So and when you write it in passive voice, President Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. It's what the sentence is trying to tell you that President Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize, not that he was given the Nobel Peace Prize by these people. It doesn't really. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a thumbs up if you're ready. Can I go on? Okay, I'm gonna go on. The next example of when you should use passive voice instead of active voice is when you try to lessen the importance of the agent or the agent is unknown. So, for example, Marie Jenkins could not complete the status report because James McDonald misplaced the manufacturing data. That's a lot of words, right? And for example, what if you didn't want the person you were telling to know who misplaced it? You just wanted them to know that it wasn't there.
Passive voice is to make sentences shorter.
Not always, but usually when it should be in passive voice, it makes it more clear in these situations. Not just in these situations, usually in these situations. So if you were to put this sentence in passive voice, you could say, the status report was not completed because manufacturing data were misplaced. You don't have to know that Marie Jenkins couldn't complete it and that James McDonald misplaced it. You just need to know that it was not completed because the data was misplaced. So does this make sense? If it doesn't, it's okay. Go over it again. Yes.
Is that proper grammar or English? The status report was not completed because manufacturing data were misplaced?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It feels wrong to say, doesn't it? Yeah. I struggled with that. Because it is plural. Or singular. Have a thumbs up when you're ready. Anybody have any questions so far? any questions, because you're gonna have homework on this. So, what?
The homeless, so we don't have like classes for like, no.
You'll find out. We're almost done. We just have one more after this, so. Yeah, just the side of it. May I go on?
No.
You don't have to write the whole thing, you can paraphrase. That's a really good skill to have, especially for high school.
You'll have notes as long as you have focus to keep writing everything.
You'll have a lot of stuff too.
That's the biggest addiction.
But when you finish the book, in high schools, approximately how much pages of notes will you write per day?
I can't really tell you that. It kind of depends on the teacher, it depends on the school. But a lot of times, your teachers are gonna tell you, hey, this is what's on here, but they're not gonna wait for you, like I do. They're just gonna go on. And you're gonna miss stuff if you take too long writing.
But the thing,
We're not talking about high school right now. We're talking about active and passive voice. We can talk about high school later. Like at the end of the day, if you want questions about high school, you can come ask me questions about high school. Or 8th grade, let's make it through 8th grade. Okay, is everybody ready to go on?
Yes.
So the last example of when you should use passive voice instead of active voice is when you're writing about scientific, technical, or natural processes, okay? Okay. So the example here is the conveyor belt delivers the shrink-wrapped product to the packing station. Okay. It doesn't really matter how, or at least in this case, it doesn't really matter how it got there. It just matters that it got there. It could come on, I don't know, by train or on the back of an elephant for all I care. But, so if you write it in passive voice, you can leave that part out and you can just say that the shrink wrap product is delivered to the packing station. It makes it more straightforward. And in a process, sometimes it doesn't matter how it happened, it just matters that it happened. So this would be an example of a technical example. Does anybody have any questions? Because this is it. Yes.
So, for this one, for the third, so it doesn't matter how it got there. What's important is
That it got there.
that it got there.
Correct. I mean, if you were writing something for, like, let's say you had a job at this company and it mattered that it got there on the conveyor belt, then you would have to say that.
Okay.
But a lot of times, it doesn't really matter how it got there. It got there. So then you can use passive voice and it would make the sentence clear. This is it, so. Are you guys done? No? Okay, while people are finishing up, yes. Do you have a question? Do you have questions? Okay. While you guys are finishing up, I'm going to hand out your homework. Which is about active and passive voices. So you guys said that you wanted to finish that movie that we were watching yesterday about 9/11, about historical context, right? So I'm gonna hand out your homework. You have to do both sides, and this is due tomorrow, along with no spelling test tomorrow too. So. Okay, so I'm gonna hand this out to you, and while we're watching the rest of the movie, you can work on this. You don't have to work on this. You can do it for homework. That's fine, but that's up to you. Yeah. Probably.
You won't finish it?
Okay.
That one? Yes. It's now,
Alright, you guys were great. Thank you.